Good morning. Good to be here with you this beautiful Tuesday, and it's a beautiful one because the month of March is rolling again. The second day of March is right here. Just yesterday, we're celebrating a new month, and of course, we're talking about a lot of expectations for the month. But the second day he's here and comes with its own expectations and its own demands already. There's so many stories making the front page of the papers today, and obviously I'm here to share some of those stories with you. My name is Tomi Siojo, and this is the Bumper Breakfast. We do this Mondays through Friday all the way to the hour of 10, and then we'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. And today I wouldn't be doing this alone. I have some guests in the studio, but just before I introduce my guests, let's take a look at the front page of the dailies. So I begin my stories this morning from the Nigerian Tribune. Very unusual, but yes, from the Nigerian Tribune. The prices of food items rise in Kano, Abuja, Lagos, others. Lagos recent ethnic clash attack in Oyo. Reasons for price hike is coming from the traders. Ebonyi, union strike, extortion, reasons for price hike. Akwa Ibom, no food price hike. We get our foods from Cross River. Traders are talking. Saraba, fear of bandits, insecurity in Borno, Bauchi, Gombe, causing food price hike. Delta, we cultivate our yams here. It's season of harvest. Traders are talking. Sokoto, banditry, cow rustling, reasons for rising costs of beef. Normalcy returns to Jeba Road after the military intervention. DSS invites foodstuff cattle dealers president for questioning. I remember he gave an ultimatum. All right, foodstuffs blockade an insult, empty threat, a failed project. North, Kents claim monopoly of feeding the nation. Okeogun farmers are talking. We move gari, yam, kola nut, eggs, soya beans, maize from the southwest to the north, they say. Abduction of students, federal government orders NSCDC to provide security for schools. 20 killed in Sokoto, Kaduna. Fire raises 200 hectares of cocoa plantation in Ekiti. Former French President Sarkozy jailed for 3 years for corruption. Nicolas Sarkozy, finally. Federal government launches online portal for COVID-19 vaccination registration. Court slams 50 million naira damages against EFCC for unlawful arrest. EFCC arraigns ex-BPE DG Dicky over alleged 26 billion naira PHCN staff severance package. Fuel scarcity cues will surface in many states. What bandits gave us as reasons for abducting 317 Jangebe students. I love the stories this morning. It's just, when I say something stuttering in your brain, there's something really interesting about the stories and papers today. All right, let me move to the Punch newspaper. It's all about food as well. Southern states dismiss the blockade. North food traders insist on strike. We won't appeal to North traders. Headers should stop destroying our farms. We have Ondo farmers talking there. With no cows in our bushes, we will produce more foods, says Enugu farmers. Traders allege extortion, harassment, say leaders summoned by DSS for questioning. NMA faults MPH CDA's registration portal for COVID-19 vaccination. Reps summon Ahmed Customs Budget Office over duty waivers. We have petrol scarcity ploy to hike price, say marketers. And Lagos court fines 172 arrested at Cubana nightclub 6.8 million naira. I need to take that again. 6.8 million naira. Fine for 172 people. All right, 7 northern state shut schools over rising banditry and abductions. Akeredolu bans NURTW. RTEAN over leadership tussle. Divorce-seeking pastor's wife accuses husband of sleeping with members in church. All right, we have Amnesty ransom will encourage bandits and kidnapping. Peter Obi is talking there. And of course, through break into Ogun, co-tenant apartment raped the 16-year-old daughter. Over 1,000 Ogun refugees now in Benin. Villagers tell the government. I'm moving to the Nation newspaper. PTF, no COVID-19 vaccine for states without facilities. 3.92 million doses for delivery today. Beneficiaries to do e-registration. Buhari or Shibajo to take the first job. Health workers, security agents, petrol station workers, people in councils with high virus infection, adults 50 years and above, and those with underlying conditions between 18 and 49 are the ones to take the vaccination. Boko Haram regrouping in my state, says the governor. All right, you have Okonjo-Iweala has Zoom's office as WTODG. Court remands ex-BPE DG Dickey over a 1 million naira bribe. Gunmen set police stations ablaze in Ebonyi. Akwa Ibom bandits killed 10 in attack on Kaduna communities. Akeredolu sacks NURTWRTAN from parks. And quickly to the Guardian newspaper this morning, Nigerians scramble for fuel as price hike, scarcity spread. Smuggling, hoarding return as marketers groan. Government inconsistency, backpedaling responsible for the chaos, says Faniron. And of course, telcos count losses as inactive telephone lines hit 7.6 million in 2 months. Service providers lose 10.8 billion naira to federal government NIN-SIM directive. MTN submits 37.2 million subscribers NIN to NIMC for verification. Terrorists kill 10 in Kaduna, abduct 3 in Niger. Federal government launches homegrown strategy for COVID-19 vaccination rollout. A lamentation in honor of Barrister Emmanuel Abiodun and building smart, prosperous Lagos for all. Those are the stories on the law and the business pages of the Guardian newspaper. I'm back here this morning, and it's an interesting read. We have so many interesting stories making the front page of the dailies today. But of course, it's not my duty to analyze these stories. I have guests in the studio this morning. Mr. Olufemi Lawson joins us from the Center for Public Accountability. I'm talking about the ED of that association or the organization. It's a coalition, am I correct?
It's a center specifically established for
demanding for public accountability.
Yes, both in public and private sector.
And private sector. And amazing. Mr. Olufemi joins us this morning. Mr. Olufemi Lawson, you've been in this business for quite a while. Thanks for gracing the bumper breakfast table today.
My pleasure.
And another person is here this morning, the constitutional lawyer. It's a social affairs activist. You know, when it comes to social matters, you will definitely find Olayinka Daniels at the forefront of such matters. And when I call people young people in Nigeria, it's one young person, even though he wears a white beard. Don't mind the white beard. He's a young person through and through. Good morning, Olayinka. How are you doing?
Thank you.
Good to have you here again this morning. So you see, I said so. Just with the beard does not matter. Forget the beard.
The mind is young.
Oh, no. He's actually still young.
Yeah.
I'm young.
It's actually still within the age group that contests for presidency. Oh.
That's extremely young.
No. We demand that age. It's not the age that is contesting all over the world. Joe Biden is 70-something, 1880, and of course our president is around the same age group. We know that.
Young men.
But we say the young men, not too young to run and not too young to rule. Yeah. Good morning, Olayinka. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Coincidentally, Olufemi also belongs to that group as well. And I believe that's one of the reasons why you are also demanding for accountability in public and private offices. But let's talk about the stories in the papers today. Interesting for me, I know we had a report in our program last week where we went on the streets to find out exactly what the food prices. It was an anticipation 2 weeks ago that food was going to rise. Why? Because we go on reports regularly. And upon getting to the market, I found out that Gary that I had bought about a couple of weeks earlier for 14,000 naira for a bag came at 17,000. The jump in 1 week, the 3,000 naira jump in 1 week told me something was looming.
Of course.
And then palm oil that used to be about I think the last we bought palm oil was about 14,000, jumped to 20,000. So I saw the 6,000 naira difference, and that told me something is happening. But you see the interesting part: tomatoes. went as low as 4,000, 3,000 per basket. So there was this lopsided thing in the market, and a lot of people have come up with different reasons why this is possible. Traders told us that this is as a result of a price hike in petrol, anticipated price hike in petrol, and the actual hike in petrol. So the cost of transportation from place to place had made it impossible. For others, it's the issue of banditry. For some, it's the issue of farmers not being able to go to farm. So the products are even wasting in the farms because they're not safe. But this is our situation today. The report says Kano, Abuja, Lagos, and others. What do we expect to happen now that the government has this kind of issue on the table?
Well, this is some of the realities that have been around us for some time, but unfortunately as a people, we have been acting as if we are ignorant of it. We have been, even the government has also been acting as if these realities were not there. The reality of food shortage that is likely to be more than what we're currently experiencing are not as an effect of what has happened in the last couple of weeks. These are issues, that have been happening for months, if not years now. We've raised this alarm, some couple of months back, that if care is not taken, Nigeria will be confronted with a situation of a very serious food shortage. And what is responsible for it? Beyond issues of possibility of increase in pump price of fuel, which is now, perennial, scarcity and whatever. One fundamental reason why we may run into food shortage in this country today is the issue of insecurity. I gave an example on a radio station a few days back about the experience I had during a tour, we did sometimes last year with a United States organization on food. The tour took us from Lagos through the south to Calabar, connecting Benue, then connecting the upper part of the north, down through, the north central, back to the southwest.
Yeah.
The most frightening experience I had in that journey was that, because of the security situation, we're unable to access some very interior part of the country, especially because of road and security, where there are farm settlements.
Okay.
But do you know that between our tour of Lagos to Calabar, to Benue, to the north, and back to Ibadan, Lagos, we had record of over 4,000 farm settlements that have been closed. I'm not talking about 4,000 farmers.
Farm settlements.
Over
so
4,000.
You're talking about
where people have vacated.
Thousands of people.
Yes, who have vacated their farm. God bless you. Because they can no longer go to the farm.
Because it's not safe.
Because of insecurity.
We have the story there.
So
this
you can
morning,
imagine the thousands of farmers that are leaving the farm in droves because they are no longer secured. And what does it imply? It implies that we have the shortage of food, and those that have it now will have to increase price because the demands will be very high.
Definitely.
So that is what is on our hands. So we must begin to look now beyond the circumstances of the few days of blockage, at Jeba, or the impending increment in Popeye. What is even at stake is far beyond that. What is coming, if not quickly addressed, you may even you went to the market and bought your palm oil of 14,000 for 20,000.
Yes.
Or your garri. We may be approaching a point where you even get to the market with your cash and you not find a basket of tomato to buy.
Because these people have decided.
Because it is only when the farmers are alive that they can cultivate.
No, but you see, there are two issues
the state seems
here.
to be so helpless, and we think every day we wake up, and unfortunately, in the last couple of years, there's no day we wake up in this country that our focus and our, talks have not been about cows.
Yes.
Very sad.
You see, it's an interesting thing because we're talking about blocking the roads, not allowing food to come. But you see, they're also saying, Okeogun farmers are talking that it's an insult to say that only the North has the monopoly of feeding the nation.
It's
ridiculous. Is that true?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Is that true? Is that where we really get our food from?
If I'm going to pick on this topic. What we are seeing today is just, I don't know, I'm trying to look at the percentage, it's just maybe nothing to what has been happening. How do I mean? Some of us, in a couple of years, we've been on these food security issues.
Yes.
Now, what we are seeing today is kind of a dressing on the cake. The foundation is faulty. Now, if we don't address the foundation, the result we get is all what we are
What we're
seeing
seeing
today.
on the table.
Why? Okay, they are talking about them blocking some farmers or food from coming to some parts of the country and all that. If food security had been attended to or been fixed, as at the time some of us were making noise about it, we won't be here. When every state can boldly stand up to say, okay, we fend for ourselves.
We can grow our food.
When Mr. Adesina came the other time, that's the former Minister of Agriculture and all that.
Yes.
At least
The current president of the African Development Bank.
we saw the steps it took, and their words are different. In fact, it was so glaring that our GDP, in fact, agric was
Contributed a
agriculture
whole
was-
lot to it.
as in was the highest that contributed a lot to our GDP when he was the Minister of Agriculture. Where are we today? Before then, it was horrible. He came, that short time he spent, something
transformed
happened,
the place.
then he left. What continuity do we have? Because now what he put in, the structures he put in place, all the plans and all that, what happened when he left? Because what we still say today in our country is not a government of continuity. When this one comes, they don't care what, well, maybe I will, I have my reservation on this particular administration, but then I must say that to an extent, they continue from where the last administration stopped.
It's
To an extent,
agriculture.
to an extent, but and not just agriculture, and some other infrastructures
Areas.
and all that, they continue, because if you remember, former President Jonathan started a number of things that
They couldn't finish.
they couldn't finish, and President Buhari came and they continue from some of them, not all. But what I'm saying, but in the past, because this is not what is just happening, this has been there.
For a while.
Food security, because when people are talking about security in Nigeria, most times we concentrate on the ones we know, in quote, as security issues. You know, that what we see that is that concerns an average person, or the understanding an average person has about security, but it's beyond that. There's food security, there's economic security, there's educational security, there's infrastructure security, all it cut across the globe. Now, we are here because there was no food security in the first place in the country. For how long? Things we produce ourselves, you cannot even find it in the market.
Those
You're
are
just
things-
talking about Gary. When some of us were growing up, even I remember when we go on holidays, we make Gary, you know, to our grandpa, and then in those days, our grandma, they make Gary as
Do you know,
everybody is involved.
it's so interesting when we're growing up that every family has a little bit of a farm.
Yes.
So you have a small cassava farm, because I remember that we had to go fry gari. We made fufu from it, and then the shaft we use it as lafu.
Well, my house,
And then
we're
we
doing it.
planted
In fact, what we were
ginger.
eating,
Was something that was available.
Tomato was at the
Turmeric.
we
was
were not
okra. We
in our
don't
own
buy
time. We
things
were
like
not
that.
buying Gary.
Tomatoes.
The
was constantly at
fufu,
the
we were
back.
not buying all those fufu, even the corns, flour,
You
all
get
those things.
it.
Number of those
When
foods,
it's
we
corn
were not
season, we
buying
plant
them.
corn.
We make them. In fact, sometimes even our grandparents will send to us, you know, to somehow they will send them to us. We don't buy them. So what happened today?
Well, that may not be sustainable.
In
If
a
you look
city
at
structure.
how population grows and how we develop as a people. But that is not even enough to deny us of access to food. In actual fact, we should have even ordinarily moved from the culture of subsistence farming to, of course, mechanized farming. That is
Mechanized
other.
farming, yes.
So I think for a population of 20 million, 200 million people, I would not be expecting that in 2021 that it is the tomato in my backyard or that should feed us.
Definitely.
We
But should be able to feed you.
We should have been, not necessarily, but we should have been able to advance to that level where within the context of our society, we have the capacity, we have grown up enough to produce food, not only for ourselves, but to even sell.
To sell to
if
others.
we have advanced to of course, today Israel export food, Botswana export beef, not because families are keeping cows or Israelis have farm behind them. They have sufficient of food and they export because government and the people have advanced from what we were doing. You understand? Frying gari at home does not make it cheaper than going to the mall to buy it.
It just means
So
that
it's
I made it
availability.
myself.
And you see, the question of food security, you cannot take it away from the realities around our national security. You mentioned the era of Dr. Akinwumi Adesina as Agri Minister. Our farmers were encouraged with fertilizers, with loans. They have access. People could go. But today, we cannot have such today in a country where licenses have not been officially issued to headers to graze into anybody's farm without repercussion. What is happening today will not encourage food security. It is not just, there was a progressive movement, up till we got to this point. Farmers were encouraged, we were beginning to have massive production of rice locally. And the truth is this, coming back to the blockade, it's a very erroneous impression for some people to believe that when you cross the bridge, some people will not eat here. There is no food that is produced. Of course, we have a large population of farmers and agrarian.
A larger population in the north than here.
But it does not. Today, one of the biggest places you can find yam in this country today
Is Oyo State.
is Delta.
Really?
Wow!
Yes,
it was only the
Delta.
photo I realized it.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Like if you see the
Delta,
massive way, and not this tiny yam. I mean when you say
Massive big yam.
Delta State here.
Yes.
They
No
have
wonder the people from the
in
south like to eat big
Nachafa,
things
they
of
plant
yam.
enough to the extent that if you see when trucks of yams have been taken away, but many people don't know that in Oyo State there are a lot of places where people, in fact it was until recently while we were growing up that I began to understand that this type of tomato comes from the north. The tomato I grew up eating was the round tomato.
The round
It was
tomato
planted
was-
from here.
Yes.
If you go to Cross River State today, during our tour, I realized that there is actually nothing, including vegetables, that are not taken away from Cross River to other parts of the country. Today, we hit palm oil almost everywhere in Nigeria.
Yes.
Do they produce palm oil in the north? Let's even reduce it. The raffia tree that is used to produce the basket that you bring the tomato in, does it grow in the north? They don't make basket in it, they make it here. The tree that makes it is grown here. Kola nut, if you go to Ondo State, if you see trucks loading kola nut out every day,
The same way they load
You understand?
cocoa and all the things.
look at the
from
poultry
Oyo State.
industry in the north survives on the south.
And that's
The
why they
supply
are
of
saying
egg-
we actually
So,
take eggs
it's-
over
so people
there.
we take eggs, so people cannot just think they can just wake up, create a
Block the
blockade, and even some people will suffer. No, it's wrong, and it's a and I think the
But you
Nigerian
see-
state, unfortunately, the Nigerian state, as of today, have not officially condemned this.
I am sorry to an extent. I think you be corroborating what I still said. Look, I maintain this stand of what we are talking about, the security we are talking about that is affecting the food shortage and all that. I'm still saying that I do not agree to an extent. I'm not saying it's not an issue, and I'm not saying it's not a problem to the food shortage. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if food security has been taken care of, you just mentioned Delta, you mentioned Oyo, you mentioned that. Do you know that there are a lot of people, a lot of farmers that are still beckoning and begging government to intervene, not on this. Before this incident of Etme going to destroy their farms, before then, long time, begging them to, okay, if you do this, if you assist us, we can go beyond this, we can make it bigger. There are some of them are still there.
And
They are
the
trying to
anchor
make.
borrower scheme.
they
Are
are-
you saying the anchor borrower scheme of the federal government did not accommodate these people?
To
or
what
did not
extent
touch
did
them?
it go? To what extent? I didn't say government didn't do that part, but to what extent?
Did it
Because
go?
if not, these people, no, okay, because maybe, okay, who gets this intervention? The
Thanks,
retired,
people who knows
the-
who.
God bless you.
Not
Maybe the retired
not
one, the
exactly,
military.
yeah.
This still come back to some retired military, because I know a couple of retired militaries that are into farming now.
And they got the anchor borrower scheme.
They get all that from this. It's still
friends
the,
of politicians.
it's still
politicians.
or friends of
No,
politicians.
but
It's
you
not
see-
The
the
ordinary farmers
thank
that it
you.
is originally created to
You
target.
understand? So if we have all this,
And this
in
is where your
place-
organization comes in,
Yes,
because
if it-
I'm just wondering if all of this were given to people and the people who needed it the most, because one of the things that separated the tenure of Akinwumi Adesina was the fact that he was getting fertilizers and seeds into the hands of female farmers right from store to their hands.
Mr. Femi,
If you-
sorry, Mr. Femi,
Yeah.
quick one. In Lagos State, Lagos State concentrates on tax, right? Revenues from every corner. That is free money to get money. Now, the question I'm asking Lagos State, I know this state and I know we have our own resources in this state. Where is the fish? Where is the coconut? Where are the things that we know? Like I said, I'm from Lagos. The one I'm talking about, the cassava and all that, is still the same Lagos. Where are all these things?
What
What
about
is
farming in
government
Lagos?
doing about food security in Lagos? Now you can see Lagos is affected, and the truth is, Lagos will be the most affected state.
Of course.
Because Lagos rely on all other states.
Everybody
for
brings
food.
here.
So what? How, sir? The first layer of that water, the first layer of fish, whatever. If Lagos can work with federal government, the first layer alone will take care of so many bills in Lagos State. But no, they want free money.
That's the problem.
And
That's where we are
overtax
today.
everybody.
That's where we are today.
So which
Government
means
as an
every
institution has
state-
become so complacent. They are not creative any longer.
So are you saying that every state in the federation, as we speak, can produce
Can
something
survive.
Yes, can
Yes.
survive. Yes.
based on agriculture?
Not necessarily on agriculture. If agriculture is your strength, you definitely need something
you.
else from Kogi,
From- yes.
which you can of course trade in exchange and
Just
make.
like Lagos
you
had the
understand?
Kebbi, the
Kebbi,
Kebbi
the rice,
But
yeah.
the unique thing about Nigeria, there is no single state in Nigeria where you drop a seed and it will not grow. Unlike some other countries where there are parts where farming can thrive.
And there are no parts.
There is no states. And that's the
That doesn't
amazing
grow
thing.
something.
A lot of you we can count the number of days it rains in some part of the north throughout the whole year. But be amazed by the virtue of the
Rice, sorghum, maize.
because just made use
Yam.
of irrigation system, and you see the massive amount of food produced by this place brought from these places. It only requires the serious. See, and the truth is that anytime we blame government, people are always quick to say, "What are you doing as citizens?" There are certain things that the citizens do not have power to do, especially when you talk about security. I can desire to cultivate the whole of Badagry, as for farming. But the truth is that if after tomorrow this cultivation is achieved, is it also going to be my job to stop others from invading my farm and wrecking it? And if they eventually do, is it going to be my job to arrest and prosecute? The state comes in. Like all this support we give to farmers. Look at just last year, CBN raised alarm about the amount of billions purportedly given to people to farm rice in Kebbi that was not refunded. Don't blame, if you do your findings very well, it is not that poor Malam in Kebbi that took that money away. These are monies taken in the name of farmer that ended up in the pocket of politicians. So
Didn't
that
get
money
to the
will never
farmers.
be refunded because it was all used to plant rice.
But what
They were used
exactly?
to marry new wives and buy cars.
No, but what exactly were we doing when we said we were going to shut the borders? I thought we shut the borders for this purpose of productivity, internal productivity, national productivity. We shut the borders for close to a year, but that's what we did.
Yeah.
We said no oil from outside, no rice from outside. Do you see the
But
amount
we are,
of...
we are back eating the same.
No, but do you see, even when we were shutting the borders, do you see the amount of rice that was on the streets?
Of course.
And it was so bad that even the smuggled rice was cheaper than the produce.
So how do you now encourage?
Thank you. That is another challenge that I have with us, because those smuggled ones, you still come, maybe refine and whatever, and you still find them cheaper compared to our own local rice that I still have, to an extent, I still have to pick stones.
From
I mean, or you bite and the next thing is stones and all, so that we have not even perfected. Yet it's more expensive and it's not even there in the market. So it's absurd.
Where's Lake Rice today?
So
December I had all of the hope about Lagos. I said
do
Lagos.
you know the number of tons of whatever that of fishes that comes into this country every day?
And yet we say we should not
with the stretch of Atlantic,
with what we have here
in this country,
with what we have.
But why are we not fishing now? But we
That is the question, because
we have the water every day now.
How far can you do on fishing as an individual to bring that up? When you have the apparatus, the states that can do that, yet the state is looking for free money, and they tax even your wee, they tax every taxable things to get money from free money from you. Meanwhile, you have
federal government is daddy. The states are the children.
No. You
see,
no country will even survive the way we are going.
You see,
this daddy, father, children relationship.
No. You see, that's what we're
the federal government should be the child of the state.
Thank you. We are the one.
The states are the children of.
We claim we are practicing true federalism. It really is true federalism. It's supposed to be the
Abuja should rely on the state. Not the
federal should rely on states.
Can we not?
The federal government has no business having a minister of agriculture.
You see, you don't understand. True federalism.
I understand. Our style of federalism.
And then we should not call it federalism.
Maybe we can call it
because our governors, what they do is to go and prostrate. Yeah, they'll go and prostrate to Mr. President. We need this. All of them go to Abuja to act on whatever they can get.
But you see, let me ask this question here, because I don't want it to seem as if we're harping on the government and harping without creatively looking for solutions and preferring solutions. If we are saying that they shouldn't be begging the federal government to give them the money, since everybody is looking at crude money is big money, all money is oil money is coming.
We'll come back to that.
But wait now, before it dries, let's even look at it this way. Do the states, with the apparatus available to them, do they have the ability to self-sustain themselves?
They can never. They have the potential. But under this system, no state will survive. Rather, they will end up running into debt, like we are saying. A lot of them, it will get to a point that even those ones that are still being able to pay themselves salary, I mean the politicians, will not be able to pay themselves, talk less of paying the ordinary worker. Why? You cannot have a country, like I said, that turns Abuja to father and states to children. It has never happened anyway. It won't survive. It is the federal that should survive on what is coming from the state. Like I said, there's no state in Nigeria that does not have the potential to survive. States like Zamfara, that you call poor states, states like Kogi, states like today are sitting on huge deposits of mineral resources that can fetch them. In actual fact, if you're a governor in Zamfara state, you don't even have business traveling to Abuja for 3 months, 6 months. Abuja should be asking you to
because you have gold.
Look at Osun State, just a few minutes, the gold deposit here extend to part of Ondo State. The second largest deposit of bitumen in the world is lying untapped in Ondo State. Yes. You mentioned the resources on the Atlantic Ocean. The layers of fishes that can be exported alone will make some with
our side, with our Lagos side.
But why is it impossible?
Our Lagos potential.
Why is it impossible? Everything is controlled from Abuja. Like I said, what's the business of federal government with the Ministry of Agriculture? If you may ask yourself.
No, but let me ask Olayinka this question.
If we don't restructure this system and make it work as a truly federal state and empower the constituent body, the states, to work, exploit their own resources and pay taxes to the federal government, we'll continue to have the kind of situation we have.
Olayinka, the Constitution is your own forte here. Is there anywhere in the Constitution where it is stated that the state cannot explore its own resources?
Of course.
Because, see, we're talking about oil. Everybody talks about, when we talk about resources in Nigeria, what is in our brain? Oil money. What about the other resources? You're just talking about the Atlantic Ocean. And it's giving me ideas, agricultural ideas, right now. We're talking about gold And I'm looking at Osun State. They say Osun State is one of the poorest states in the southwest. And Osun State is sitting on gold. Is there any part of the constitution that tells Osun State not to explore its own gold, like Zamfara is doing?
Okay,
Like Borno is doing.
unfortunately, when anytime we talk about the problems of this country, some of us just pick and we pick. Unfortunately for us, the number one problem
Is our constitution.
is our constitution.
That's
You see, we say when the foundation is faulty,
Work on the righteous.
what can the righteous do?
that's
So nothing can stand on nothing. You can't
nothing.
put nothing on nothing.
Yeah.
So if the constitution is faulty, there is
No
no
other thing.
why we can't get it right today. Like he said, why nothing can happen? Why state will still run to federal government? Why all these things will still? Why Mr. President will be the mighty and the God and whatever? And why everybody we have to succumb to Mr. President at his feet and nobody cares what happens to the country? Is found in that constitution.
God bless you, sir.
Until that is resolved, until when we come together to say, oh yeah, tear it. I'm not asking for repealing.
Amendment.
No,
We need a new
amendment.
constitution.
You tear, you burn it, because when they tear, you can still be looking at what is written there. Burn it.
But the
to
House of
ashes,
Assembly,
then we'll come
but
back.
the National Assembly has told us that it is not there. They cannot give us a new constitution. That's what they said.
Why is it difficult?
They said they can't give us. They said they
It is,
cannot
not even-
amend.
it is within the power of the people.
People.
Constitutions are made by the people to govern them. So the National Assembly is even assuming, a status that it does not. You understand? If as Nigerian people we decide that we want a new constitution, so be it. It is so. The first chapter of the constitution
it's not just
says,
to be in that
we the
house.
have you ever seen a constitution that is say I the president or we the Federal Executive Council? It is usually we the people of Nigeria. So if it is we the people of Nigeria that makes the constitution, why is it difficult for you to allow Nigerian people to make a constitution that will govern them? And you say on the resources thing, like you said, it is exclusive to the federal government to
So yes, all the natural
resources,
resources.
no matter how large it is in your backyard.
So if
it
we
is
want
not
to
within your
change this
power.
constitution, what do we
It
do?
has to go.
That is what we're saying. Now, don't forget that now changing, not changing, as in having
Replacing.
new,
Constitution.
Replacing the
It should
constitution.
go all the way. It comes from the local government, the local government to states, because they are the one that will bring whatever. Okay, your local government, your people will bring their own. Their people will bring their own. Then the states, we now have the state constitution. Except we're going to leave everything about that constitution. We drop it. Then we call a referendum, like you said. Okay, this is how do you want to do this? If we want to live together, we have to have another constitution. Okay, we are all the way from CDA to CDC to local government, all the way. Of course, you can't have everybody, but you have representatives from all over, from all those places. So then we bring it together, and we agree as a people on how we want it. Then all states will come together and we agree. Don't forget that don't forget, some will still disagree with some, whatever you write. So it's so difficult because we have a wonderful country as we speak. Yes, there's maybe some set of tribe or ethnic, because that's another one. I don't know if we'll be able to achieve jettison all this tribal ethnicity and all that, because already they had brainwashed us. Our leaders are done so bad that an average Nigerian believes I am an Isoko man before thinking about Nigeria.
And yet, when you leave
I'm
the shores of
a
this
Yoruba
country,
man before thinking I'm a
Nigeria.
Nigerian. I'm an Igbo man, I'm an Hausa man, and they come and they put that in your head. I'm a Fulani man, and all that happens. So how to get there? It's a serious work. And until when we also, as a people, jettison religion, ethnic, all tribal, whatever, then we face it that are we ready? If not, then we are not ready.
But let me go to solutions now, because I said earlier that we need to prefer solutions. We are at this point. The food blockade is happening as we speak. The price hike is happening as we speak. Hoarding of fuel is also happening as we speak. There is fuel scarcity in some places because some people are hoarding theirs. they want to sell at the best price. What should the government be doing? From your recommendation, Lanka, you can go first. What should the government be doing to address this matter now, especially because this Traders Association had demanded that they wanted government to give them some money as a compensation for the losses they incurred as a result of the clashes that had happened?
I think that should be ignored. That should be justice. No money should be paid to anybody.
Well, the DSS is even inviting the president for...
Okay, now, in fact, you see, this is a funny state. When I say funny state, it's a funny country, because the question I've been asking immediately I heard the DSS has been inviting them and asking them questions and trying to find out, okay, what is the threat to security? Okay, some people block, they say they are not coming here to... Then sort that out. The traders that said that they don't want to come, appeal to them, let the government intervention come and say, come, we are one. We cannot resolve this thing like this. But somebody, a private business, we are not talking about, Niger Delta people that went to bust the pipeline. We know that oil is a natural resource, is our own thing, everything. This is business. You want to sell your good, you are not paying to me. You are coming to collect money to sell. You're not paying to government. You're coming to sell. It's a personal business. So why should I pay you? Yes, things that happen. Yes, we call it act of God sometimes when, there are fracas, there are instances, fights everywhere. Yes, let's talk. This will not happen again. Sorry for your loss. Sorry, because the other people had their losses. They had their losses too. So you don't tell federal government to come and give you that is $500 billion. $500 trillion.
Yes.
Almost 500 billion.
Yeah.
For what? That is, for me, I'm not in support of that. They should do business. Is business. And these same people, what if the farmers that have been destroying their farms, and they're asking for 500 billion.
How much should the farmers ask for?
Then the farmer comes tomorrow to say, we're asking for 1 trillion. So where do we start from?
You see,
from government.
Don't you
in
think
the
government
first place,
should
who are the people asking for this compensation?
It's called the
let me tell you
traders,
those people.
food traders.
Let me tell you those
cattle.
people. Those people, many of them don't own a cattle, neither do they own a tomato shop. These are merchants. They profiteer from problems, from crisis. Let me tell you.
So this crisis is beneficiary to them as we speak.
No person will take a trailer of tomato from KB and get to Jeba and pack it there to rotten. These are people who have no job being in that place, but are encouraged by the conduct of the Nigerian state itself. A government that normalized the payment of ransom to bandits, a government that sits under the glare of camera and have tea break with criminals, would encourage characters like that to make this kind of
this is why I take an exception to that statement.
If people suffer losses,
the governor of Zamfara State had to sit down.
If people suffer losses, there are procedures.
Are you thinking he did the wrong thing?
Who?
The governor of Zamfara State. He said he will continue to negotiate with them as long as
because Zamfara is helpless. Let me tell you how helpless our governor is. He's so helpless to the extent that he cannot even ask the commissioner of police in that state to take certain decisions until the commissioner takes clearance from Abuja. And you see the oath that every governor or whatever has sworn, the first responsibility is to secure your people. And under these circumstances, where they have become so helpless, they have no other choice than to start, doing what you saw the governors have doing. And look at this, for instance. You see, when we must always be conscious of what is happening at the top. Like, for instance, no private individual, irrespective of what association you think you call yourself, should be making this kind of demand. You understand? From the government for 75 billion or whatever. If there are damages, it's natural for people to seek compensation. It is not out of place. But there are procedures
to get in.
Who quantified your losses? Who assessed the level of damages? Who came to the conclusion that this is the value of what has been damaged? Government must be involved, and other critical stakeholders must be involved. You don't just wake up and make demand like terrorists. You understand? Because that's the way it looks.
You see, it's an interesting one because it gladdens my heart that we can move on to this topic this morning. The abducted Jangebe girls have been released today. And Governor Dr. Bello Matawali has put up the announcement on Twitter that it gladdens his heart as well to announce the release of the abducted students of the GGSS, that's the Government Girls Science Secondary School, from captivity. This follows the scaling of several hurdles laid against our effort to enjoin all women in Nigerians to rejoice with us as our daughters are now safe. Now the buses are conveying the girls back to Zamfara, to Gusau, are all there in the picture. But in the papers this morning, our dearest Sheikh Gumi, the self-appointed negotiator, has told us exactly why he thinks that these girls were even abducted in the first place. Some of the reasons, I remember the allegation, that made the rounds, and it was saying something like the San Francisco government itself was alleging that the people behind this abduction will shock Nigerians, which means there are some information filtering into the ears of these people that they cannot release to the public. What should the government do now that our girls are back to arrest this matter?
Sorry, you'll permit me to miss before I go into try or make attempt to answer that question. I think there was one we were discussing and we didn't finish on the solution.
Yes.
We just raised one, and I think is appropriate to inform the
Yes.
government and the people, particularly all the parties involved in this. Blocking food from going to other states is actually out of place, is not the right time for this. There's no time that is ever right for this. Because the way we operate, we are one country, we are one people, we are one family. We cannot say, okay, because there are issues, then I need to starve some people when okay, my things will go. Even they will be at loss. Like, for example, if you have tomatoes, it will spoil. If we have some other perishable goods, it will spoil.
Definitely.
Why those trucks are
And the
stationed
farmers
there.
will be at a loss.
So please, let them just go. Yes, if they want anything, yes, we'll still continue negotiation, or we can seek redress in the appropriate quarters, but not about blocking food from going to because then also the Southerners are saying, no, to hell with you, sorry for using that word, but we can take care of ourselves, we can make enough food for, but the truth is we cannot.
Sure.
As we speak, we don't have that to make enough food for ourselves in this part of the world. But then, I think for now, all parties should come back to the drawing board, come back to the table. Let's negotiate. Let's find a workable way of resolving this. The part the government is
which may
supposed to
also
do,
involve
let them
paying
do.
of ransom. And
Not ransom. Don't use the word
No,
ransom.
compensation.
Okay,
Because,
compensation, yes.
Yes. So if at all, then we cannot be talking about the figures they are putting forward. And if at all anything will happen, but for now, it's not about stopping the food. Let the food move. Let those things go into the South too. Let us deal with criminals. This thing is not about Fulani. It's not about Yoruba. It's not about Hausa. It's not about Igbo. Criminal is criminal. Call them their names. If some people are on your farm or destroying people or killing people, don't say, okay, it's a particular tribe. We see instances where we have the Igbo one bringing the ammunitions, selling the ammunitions to the Fulanis. We have the Yoruba doing, so everybody is involved. Call a criminal, and let's address the issue. And the government also, through their security apparatus, should stand, up and be on their feet to do the needful, to do their job. And what they signed to and what they swore an oath to is to the Constitution and to Nigerian people. Then they should do that and not wait for Mr. President, or because, Mr. President, I don't know the body language of Mr. President, what he may say or what somebody may say and all that. Let's do the needful. If we still want to stay together as one people, one nation, then we must take responsibilities for our actions. He cut across, all of us are to put our hands on deck, all of us. So this has nothing to do with government or all of us. Government, individuals, everyone
Whoever
is
it is.
involved in this. Thank you.
see, the Jangebe girls is another thing we were saying we wanted to deal with. The minister said, Minister of Aviation, Ahad Isirika represented, led the delegation of the federal government to go sympathize with, condole with the families, now that they're back. NSCDC, the Nigerian Security, whatever, has to take charge of protecting our schools. Abduction of students, federal government orders NSCDC to provide security for schools. My question last week, just before this happened, and we're talking about Kagara boys, my question was, excuse me, every unity school and federal government college and command school is sited in the bush for two reasons. They have this landmass, and the government usually sites them as far away from civilization as possible. So they have a farm, they can grow their things, they have the beach, a lot of parents actually take their children there for re-education. This is how it has always been. But nobody thought about putting security in those schools, apart from the babas and the mamas I went to one that will be in front of the place. We had loads and loads of a backyard, no fence from the back, hills at the back, farmlands backing us. That was what it was. Unfortunately, we maintained that system over the years, and our ministers of education have not been thinking about that. I think the kidnap of the Chibok girls was supposed to be an eye-opener for all of us. Dapchi girls then happened. We had the boys that were murdered in their sleep. Then we had the Kankara. Then we had the Kangara. And then we had the Angara. Now we're sending NSCDC. I know they carry weapons. We're sending NSC. You people are laughing.
All these are jokes.
Yes, they are really jokes.
So for me, these are jokes. Let me
But
tell
we
you.
don't have fence, so almost all
Is
the
security
schools.
about fence?
That's what I'm asking now. We're sending NSCDC.
It's not even about sending soldiers. That's the truth. How many soldiers would have stopped an army of renegades that came to take 300 children? Do you think-
317 children.
So you thought? Are you thinking they came on 2 motorcycles, or they were 4 men? These are criminals that would have come in their hundreds too. So how many NSCDC would have stopped those criminals at the school in Jangebe?
But let's even imagine, maybe they will send like 500 NSCDC officials.
Thinking today that our schools are not fenced, that there's a security man carrying gun at the gate, is a terrible reflection of how bad things have gotten. We should be crying that we now have to secure our schools with guns. That we now have to throw our children guns at the entrance of their school. We should be sad that things have gotten that bad. It is so bad that non-state actors can drive, not on motorcycle, not on footpath, drive SUV to where bandits are gathered, have meeting with them under the fluke of camera. And the Nigerian state
Take pictures.
keep acting as if it does not know where these criminals are hiding.
No, they didn't say they didn't know.
Have they ever claimed to know?
But they know now.
Has the government ever come out to say, oh, we have seen
But
where
the bandits
criminals are
warned them
holding
not
these
to come.
children?
Oh. The bandits told them not to come.
Bandits warning government?
But that was what happened last week. The head of the kidnappers
that is
warned
how,
them
that
and
is,
said,
the
don't
government
come.
had never admitted knowing where criminals are. We are on their trail. We are investigating. We are flying, doing area surveillance, and all sort of excuses. That is how bad it has become. What happened in Zamfara? The president has said will be the last. Unfortunately, just a few hours ago, are you aware that bandits? I don't call them bandits. These terrorists went back to Kagara again and killed people.
They actually promised that Kagara people have been given government information
So
about them.
you get the
that
point.
They were going
So
to go back.
Are they not part of
to
the?
deal with
Are they not
Kagara
part of
people?
the? Are they not part of the country
And that's
where
why-
the president said nothing of such will repeat itself?
The schools.
Sorry.
We are so helpless at this point, to the extent that we are almost limiting our people to whatever God can do for them, because today boarding schools are being shut, across the north.
Across the
They are
north.
taking education away from the
Except
from
the ones
children.
that are in the capital.
But even in the capital, how secure are they? Do you
mean,
imagine the number of
Maiduguri was
kilometers that these terrorists would have traveled, taking these hundreds of children away? So it's so terrible, and it is not. We must understand that it is not within the powers of the states, to provide this security.
Well, you
If
see,
you
this
look
is
at
the
outside the
fastest.
efforts that states like Lagos are doing to create, the rapid response squad and so, the states are actually helpless. And when you now have problems like this, have we looked at the root cause? We must always go back to where the case of Zamfara is always very interesting. Before this governor came, the immediate past governor of Zamfara State practically lived in Abuja. He ran away from the state
Was that bad?
because the state had already been surrendered to
already.
these criminals
No,
by
but,
him.
But he was collecting salary, security
votes,
Um,
and all sort of
he sold
grants.
every
There,
month.
you understand?
He was paying
Borrowing
salaries
locally and internationally. Governance is not about paying salary. There are social responsibilities as a governor that you must do. And
But
this,
Governor Bebo
most
Matawalle
of this,
has
most of these elements,
Hmm.
you understand? You know, just a few days ago, we spoke about, we called on the EFCC to immediately arrest the former governor of Zamfara State, Governor Yari. Because when you look at
Abdulaziz Yari.
the resources that was coming into the state, and now the government allegedly squandered it.
Are you sure they didn't use it to pay ransom?
Okay, let me give you an instance. On the 1st of April, just about less than 2 months to the end of his tenure as governor of Zamfara State, this man got a refund of 22.5 billion naira from the federal government as part of the money used in
Roads.
constructing federal roads.
Roads.
That money grew wings between April 1st and May 29th.
26.
Nothing was it attached to either as salaries, and I'm not sure 22 billion would have been used to pay criminals, or was it attached to any other critical projects that would have benefited the ordinary people of the state. You leave the people impoverished, you left them unsecure, then you relocated to Abuja, and that man is still working freely on it. And if we are not, people are not paying, being punished for what they have done, we'll continue to have more. Today, look how many of these criminals who kidnap children in Kankara, in Kagara, now in Jangebe, how many of them have had their day in court?
You see,
well, they said they are in court. They said, government will always come to tell you that they are in court.
It's almost 2 weeks now that the federal government ordered police to publish names of those that have been arrested. Where is the list? It will never come.
For some of us, we really get tired talking, but because we are patriots and we hold nobody and any allegiance but the nation, the country, the people of Nigeria. Reason why some of us still come to talk. Number one, anytime they say Mr. President says something, I never believe that.
No, his presidency is not the president.
So take note.
I've always said it to
take
people.
note of that.
Let us
because
clarify.
I do
when
not.
President Muhammadu Buhari speaks, he speaks.
So
when
I
the
do not-
statement is accredited to anybody from his office, please accredit it to the person
Thank
who said
you.
it.
But these people have
So
always
he
made
said-
us to understand that it is the opinion
No,
of
no,
the
no.
president.
From
No,
day
no, no, no.
from day one.
Even from their speeches.
From the
In fact,
one.
sometimes they even quote the president in their.
Because-
are you aware of
Because
that?
they are writing those speeches.
Are you aware that they
But
even
in
quote
most
the
cases-
president in their speeches?
Do
Yes.
you know that when it
From-
comes out, it usually says the opposite?
Because
Sometimes.
from the
That
one,
tells you the
from
level of,
from the one, at least some of us were opportune to know some things about them. From the one, when they say Mr. President says this, I know what Mr. President can say, and I know what he will not say.
Sometimes some of those
Now,
speeches
that is-
lack the passion
So it means
with which
that
the president
it means
will
that we have
Yes.
a cabal
Yes, that
in the
runs-
presidency
that's
that comes
yes.
to rub nonsense on us.
That's presidency
that comes
within
to
the
make us
presidency.
think that we are fools, or that we don't know what is happening, or we don't know anything, and that we are fools, and whatever they drop on our tables we take
be
and
swallowed.
we go. That is them. Unfortunately, whoever that made that statement of schools to provide security or to scale up their securities must be out of
was not
out of
insensitive.
place.
Was an insensitive statement.
You know why? When they were showing the videos, when they went to when they abducted some people and some students and all that. Did you see the grenade those guys were carrying?
Of course.
That thing is not is not to shoot people.
These are military
These are
grade
military
weapons.
grades that can only be licensed or allowed by government, by federal government to bring into the country.
But you also know that it was listed in the papers last week that when the travelers from the NSC bus
Were
were released, they mentioned they saw rocket grenades.
Of course.
Maybe they mentioned
What
rocket
you used to
grenades.
scare, they would throw that thing to one house, it will bring the whole house down. Vehicles moving, those are things they use for armored vehicles.
So why exactly do you now reconcile the statement of Sheikh Gumi saying that not all bandits are criminals, but these criminals are the kind of
And even-
these bandits are the kind of weapons?
Even want the media to stop calling them criminals.
From
He
the
said we should
beginning.
not.
want
He said we should not be calling them.
No,
He even said the media are criminals for calling
Yes,
them.
Gumi from the one he's been doing his own thing, and Gumi has been wasting his time unnecessarily deceiving himself, not Nigerians, as far as I'm concerned. From day one, all those things are wasted effort. You don't go sit with. We're here in one of the programs, and we're talking about someone that make millions in few hours.
Governor Nasir.
Then you are telling us you want to negotiate with him so that he would drop it and make maybe 100,000 in months.
That was Governor Nasir of Kaduna's analysis.
But he also admitted paying these people in the past.
Yes, but he said, that now he has already seen that there is no possibility. No, there is no
because
possibility.
when he paid them, when he paid them, then he didn't know that they were going to still keep doing it. So when they now continue, no, even when I know I paid them, he was talking from experience because he paid them and he didn't yield any result. So
is it possible for the man who gets one cow, who sells one cow, for 120,000 naira
after trekking 10 kilometers?
And then
that is trekking 10
kidnaps
kilometers or
one
months.
person and makes 6 million. That was the analogy. To go back to selling cows.
Is that the kind of man you should be discussing and be sitting on the right like?
That's why I love President Muhammadu Buhari's response. I want to negotiate.
I won't negotiate, and if you are not negotiating, you just sit down.
I think
if you are not negotiating with criminals, it only means you are willing to deal with them. Are we dealing with them now?
I think Gumi. I think Gumi is not someone we should take for anything. If he can come up to make a statement such as kidnapping of schoolgirls is not, whatever. If he can make such statement, then he's not someone we should take serious. Meaning that these guys have agenda. He has appointed himself anyway to be spokesperson for the bandits or whoever. But now, where we are today, I don't want to say the cloud that I'm looking at. I hope it will not rain. Because nobody seems to be doing anything. Nobody seems to be doing anything about it. And we just make noise about it, and the next tomorrow we hear something else. They make noise about it. Next tomorrow we hear something else. They make promises. They tell us all sorts, and we never see any actions.
All right, let me give you some of the reasons Sheikh Gumi gave for these bandits, this sect. He called them a splinter group of those he met in the forest. They weren't the ones he met, but a splinter group. One of the reasons they said was responsible for their kidnapping of this 279 girls, as Governor Benue Matawale had clarified to international media. 317 were the girls missing, but some ran into the forest. Only 279 were taken by the bandits. Now, those who abducted the students, if you hear the reasons they gave for the act, you will be surprised. One of the reasons they gave was that they heard there was a peace process between the government and some bandits, to the extent the government is even pardoning some of them. Why are they left out in the peace deal? Why are they not invited to the peace deal? So since they are not invited, they have to show they are strong.
And stronger than those kidnapping 21. It's a ratio of
so
strength.
They kidnapped 270.
But
we will almost acknowledge, and we must give it to Dr. Bello Matawale. He claimed no ransom was paid. And this is the fastest any kidnapped schoolgirls have been returned.
I was driving 2 days ago
to Tuesday,
and as I was driving, my head was just going everywhere, and I was asking myself, I have a child in school, I have a girl in one school there. Then suddenly, suddenly, I now get a news that they've gone to that school, they've kidnapped the students. There, which God forbid my daughter is in case. No, the question I was asking myself, the trauma. I said, you mean this country will be auto? I said, this country will be auto.
You can imagine what 270 something mothers were going through since Friday.
So we are really not serious.
And we were acting as if everything was normal.
And most of these people in the so-called Asura, even the adult one they have, most of them are outside the country. They have their family somewhere else, and all, or even if they are here, they have enough security. You see the Eloxes, some of them 2 to 1 car. that is not even the father.
No,
We are talking about the old children.
It's a government for public protection and regime protection. It's not about the
so
people.
it is absurd and sad that we are here.
You see, brings me to our last conversation for today, just before I let these two gentlemen go. They seem to be giving it to me back to back today. Olayinka Oladenis won't even share the name of his child school with us. Do we look like kidnappers to you? It's national television, but do we look like kidnappers to you? You can't tell us the name of your child school. No. But tell us the name of the uniform. Is it black and blue?
Just don't worry about the uniform. I don't have money.
What part of Lagos? Is it west or right?
You're not telling me that they won't pay ransom. They won't pay ransom. They are telling you they don't pay ransom. They don't pay ransom. They come and give us all sorts of the stories, and you think the parents will be there sleeping? The parents of those children will be, and they won't be on the neck of the. See, why won't they pay ransom?
100,000 naira each.
That's why I'm telling you. Please, I don't have money. Who will not pay? The trauma. Who will not do anything to have their
You will not sleep
back?
at home. I trust your wife.
How now?
No, you will not enter the house.
Me.
From
Nobody even needs to. I said the country will be hot.
Let's talk about COVID-19. The numbers from yesterday shows that Nigeria seems to be at number 6 in the world as we speak. The total number of cases in Nigeria as at yesterday, came to about, I know I got the numbers just last night, 155,657. But today, the NCDC obviously would have released their own list for the day. But the interesting part of it is today is March the 2nd, and Nigeria takes delivery of 3.92 million doses of that vaccine that is being given to us by the COVAX facility. That's the free vaccine, the free one. We're not buying it, it's free. Ghanaian president became the first person in West Africa to be administered a free dose just yesterday, just in the early hours of the day. We have Ivory Coast already getting their own number of doses, and Nigeria being the second one in West Africa today to get, or the third one rather, to get our doses. There is a portal that has been opened for everyone to be a part of. There is a portal that shows us exactly how to register for that. But the gentleman in the studio today, I want you to share with me, do you agree with this model? The vice president and the president will take first to inspire confidence, like it's done across the world right now. Health workers, security agents, petrol station workers who interface with people on a daily basis will be the next one. They have people in councils with high-risk infection would also take, adults 50 years and above, and those with underlying conditions between the ages of 18 and 49 will also take. Do we then need this registration portal, since we have this mapped out?
It's required when you consider the available number of doses and the need to actually, ensure that the procedure as stated, are followed. If we don't do that, even with this, I can assure you that the stratification will begin as soon as those vaccines arrive Abuja today, because you must understand that those categories that are not included in that list will naturally feature from tomorrow morning. I mean, as of assembly members, local government executive.
But adults 50 years and above, and those.
I'm having categories that will join this tomorrow.
People in council, they are already there.
Not people in council as well.
With high risk infection.
Yes, and they
will have high risk.
They are the class of politicians who are also in
thousands. They are in council.
Oh, they are not. They are not classified.
They are in council. I don't know.
The tendency for this vaccine to be manipulated, if not properly monitored, is there, and that is why the implementation of this should not just be led in the hand of government. The Nigerian Medical Association has a fundamental role to play. The Nigerian media must be fully involved in the delivery and administration of this vaccine, like we have seen all over the world. The civil society must also be interested in how these vaccines are distributed and administered. Otherwise, the targeted categories that should be the first line of recipient will not achieve it. It will not achieve it apart from the president and the vice president, who may end up seeing on the TV.
Well, let's take a look at
every category of person may not,
But how many politicians do we even have in the country across?
And should that be a priority?
No, I'm just saying.
There are a lot of. It's one of the most thriving industries here. You have thousands. Yes, you see people even leaving their jobs to go and become politicians. So you have a lot of them. that can
So you
easily
think-
manipulate the process.
So you think the politicking will affect the distribution?
It's definitely
of
going to
this?
be involved, but we must ensure that it does not overshadow the essence.
So the
of-
registration
of
portal is
this
the
vaccination
solution.
program. It's maybe I did enter registered on that yesterday with my wife, and I think it's just going to allow people, most importantly, from what I took home from there, to be able to know how they can have easy access. Ordinarily, I would have been thinking I have to go through, but I understand from the breakdown that I can take from my local government without necessarily looking at how I can find my way to Lausa or the state hospital. So I think these are the advantages of things
The
like this.
registration
And I've been made to
portal.
understand that even my aged uncle in Badagry can have it there without necessarily having to come to Ikeja. So these are the benefits of having a portal like this. But I think the most important thing is will not be achieved on the portal. It will be achieved by thorough monitoring by the media, the civil society, and the medical association to ensure that these are not diverted and become. So in this country, we have seen people who were given food to give to poor people, and they want to change the label to their birthday pictures. So we must be very careful.
But this also comes to what you just mentioned, the medical association. They've already faulted this registration portal for the COVID-19 vaccination.
Yeah, you know, we are in a country where I don't know who thinks, I don't know who advises, I don't know who come up with all this sometimes, and I ask, really? I mean, among the over 200 million Nigerians, you don't have someone that can be better in his head, and because now. Thank God that they didn't even say they are doing they didn't come to tell us they want to do, what do they do when they want to, sorry, what's the word now? They want to bring in maybe something or open something. They will say they are doing
Commissioning.
Commissioning. Yes, that's Nigeria for you. Sorry, it is what we've seen over time. Thank God that
People have commissioned
But that is
So,
boring.
the vaccination is a
Thank
bigger
God that
project.
because maybe some of us made noise. If not, we would have
Yeah,
had our
the
commissioning
flag off at
the
the
whole thing.
square.
Yes, because really, I asked. I was checked when I saw that. I checked around, as in the countries that have been having this. As in, I don't understand this registration thing and all that. Because the first question I want to ask: when we conducted tests, out of over 200 people, so far we've been able to do 1.4. 1.4 million out of
Have been
over
tested for COVID-19
tested.
in a population.
Now in a
of
population of
over
about 200. Now, let me ask, if that is all we could achieve between
January
now
last year.
a year, let's say a year, we could achieve 1.4. Tell me how
But people
we
are not
want to-
coming forward. It's 1.5,
no,
mind you.
people-
It's 1.5 million.
now, okay,
400
1.5 now.
1
Let's
million.
even say 1.6. Well, let's give them to 1.6.
1,544,000
Don't worry about the figure.
They're not coming
1.6. Don't worry
But
about
people are not
1.6. Look, I do not agree. Your testing kit. In fact, if you want to travel now, they will tell you pay
Geneva is
50,000
your
and
house.
all
You have to go
that.
to private
You have to go,
laboratories
do all that. Tell me, do you have 50,000?
to go take
How
it.
many Nigerians? So all these things
No, but they
are
pay
really-
for it abroad as
so-
well.
See,
No, the countries that run free coronavirus
Free.
vaccine, even on
I
our right.
had people who needed to come in from the United Kingdom, and they had to go, in fact, for their daughters.
we
little
just say
ones.
that those
They
ones that
to
had
go
to
pay.
travel, yes, because they so for you to have money to, because you want express
But
one.
virtually all
So they are
citizens have
collecting.
been tested as at the time they even plan traveling.
Thank you.
In the peak of the coronavirus, countries
Some people have never.
there was a
Some
mass
people I know in the
testing of
United Kingdom have ever done the
mass
test.
testing of citizens in the UK, in the US, and
For those who
even in
come
South Africa,
Yes.
even in Ghana, there was mass testing.
Ghana, South Africa, in
There was
Africa,
mass testing.
Morocco, Ghana.
Why were we
South
not doing
Africa.
that?
Now,
We give
I
it to
think
them.
what also media should be doing right now, in addition to this, and the orientation, whatever, government orientation agency, whatever,
That one does not
Yes.
exist.
it doesn't exist. What they should be doing is to
does.
make sure that they ring the bell and they sing that song, whether they're going to call Sonny or Davido, whatever, to make sure they tell people the vaccine does not mean you should neglect measures.
Of course, the education must continue anyway.
But you see, a lot of people
Yeah,
are not
this
even
does
prepared
not-
to take the vaccine.
You see, because some that will even take the vaccines may conclude that yes, once I have
Yeah,
the
I'm free.
vaccine, I'm free.
Joe
I
Biden took the
cannot-
vaccine since December. He's still wearing his face
Yeah,
mask.
that is what we're saying. You will still wear your face mask. You will still, the vaccine
Be
doesn't mean that you
responsible.
will not still do social distance. Or you will just abandon all measures. No, that is not the purpose of the vaccine. Because people should understand that one. Then two, how do we get ordinarily the Indian people were supposed to give us everything before now. Now they are coming to give us 3 point something million, right?
Yeah.
That is percentage if I break it down to what we're supposed to get in total. Meaning that from day one, there's trouble. From day one, our house is shaking.
So, now, the government is also making provision for purchase.
For their home purchase
Yes.
anyway.
From day one, the house is shaking. So now, how? If, like I said, 1.5 or 1.6, sorry, if that is what we could do in 1 year, how do we do this? How do we implement this? How do we make sure that people have access to this? How do we, we are talking about we'll go and register on Portal. Yes, because you're educated, because you have access to that. How many people?
Very few.
The illiterate one that don't know anything about doing all these things.
And have the
Those things
underlying
everyone-
illness.
How do you understand? And so how do you
So
get to
the
these
advocacy
people?
must
So
be
really
is
is beyond just registering in the portal and all that. No, it's beyond it. And
You see, there are so many sides to these stories, and we must do our parts to educate the people. I need to take last statements from you as we round off the conversation this morning. The National Orientation Agency has done its bit, and they're going to sign off on this as soon as
they are
possible.
not doing enough, sir.
They're not.
They are not.
What should the government do to ensure not just the Nigerians take this vaccine, but that the people who need it the most get it in 1 minute?
Well, I may find it very difficult to believe, and I'm very sorry about it, that the government, if left alone to do this, will get it right. I don't see that happening. And that is why I want to restate that every other stakeholders that have been involved in the COVID-19 advocacies and activities are brought on board. The medical association, other medical professionals, the civil society, the media in particular must be engaged in the implementation of the vaccination program so that it does not become another palliative that will end up being mismanaged by the government.
This idea of palliative
I think
care.
I believe it should be even a state thing. Every state should work on this, not federal government.
Well, they said any state that doesn't have the facility would not get it.
But some states are not ready to get.
Do you not have facility for your people?
Will Kogi have facility for coronavirus?
Kogi does not have coronavirus.
No, it doesn't have coronavirus. You
I need to
forgot.
say thank you. I need to say thank you to Olufemi Lawson from the ED of the Center for Public Accountability. Thanks for joining us this morning. And our constitutional lawyer here, Olayinka Olajanios, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
My
you.
name is Tomi Siojo. We'll see you again tomorrow. It's been a well-rounded conversation, so stay safe. COVID-19 is still very much out there. Have a beautiful day.